You have something special. You have greatness in you. Hello, I'm Les Brown, and I have a special guest I'm so excited to interview. And her name is, to me, very unique. Christine Campbell Rapin. She said, like rapping. I said, okay. How are you doing, Christine?
It's fabulous to see you.
Okay. You have a very interesting story. One, you've decided that you want to lead your life in the direction of helping business people and everyday people, entrepreneurs, how to bring out the next greatest version of themselves, how to get unstuck and stop procrastinating and live their greatest life. What brought you to this place where you said, this is what I want to do with my life?
Truthfully, I was invited.
How so?
I knew from a young age that I wanted to build something, and the world of entrepreneurship for me was the business playground. And when I started my business 5 years ago, I just set out to build my own business. But through conversations with peers, I realized so many people are struggling. So many people are not able to create the impact they want and actually see those dreams realized. And so people kept inviting me for coffee. How do you do business? How do you build relationships? How do you actually create momentum? And I said, business growth is in fact actually really simple. Let me show you how to do it. And they said, I'd like help. And I was courageous enough to say, you're crazy. Sure, I'll help you.
Wow. How did you know you could do this? Where did your passion come from to do this?
This passion really came down to, I've watched great role models like my dad step into the world of business and leave a really strong impact, and I thought, I want to do the same.
I'm glad you mentioned your dad. We've had some conversations about him, and he has been a tremendous influence in your life. You had some experiences and you watched and observed him. What are some of the gems that you learned from him that you've put in your book that will help people to get on the path of creating the next greatest version of themselves?
I think the most important lesson I learned from my dad was integrity. You know, I remember so clearly, my handshake is my word. I will stand for what I believe in, and I will never play offside. And I think that when I encountered the world of business, I saw a lot of offside behavior. I encountered it in my own career corporate journey, and I thought, I get to choose what kind of leader I want to be, and in this business I have today, I get to help raise that standard of helping future leaders become even better at what they do, and that will cascade, I think, for generations. But integrity was key.
When you think about people bringing out the next greatest version of themselves, integrity is one thing that you've learned. What's something else that you learned from your father that people need to really embrace?
Discipline. Discipline of saying and showing up for following through with what you said you wanted, building the habits when there's nobody cheering for you, staying the course when it's bumpy, there's landmines all over the place, and the world thinks you're crazy. Discipline is really key to this because it's not an effortless journey, but it's got to be worthwhile to you, and your future self is calling.
One of the things that you shared with me about your father that I think is very important, over 300 million people are going to lose their jobs to artificial intelligence. And when we begin to think about how do we begin to navigate, what is it that people need to do in this new economy? And one of the things that you shared with me that your father emphasized, that you got to be a thinker, that people who are not thinking, people who are not being innovators and creative in how they can do whatever is being done better, those people are going to be left behind. Share with us that area of thinking, how important that is.
I think the most dangerous thing that you can outsource is your brain. And I think in this world of AI, we're letting ChatGPT and other AI tools tell you what to think. They're telling you they think better than you. And I think that's so incredibly dangerous.
They're talking about brain rot now.
It is. And yet we're creative beings. And there's a solution to every problem. And I think the world can be guided to an invitation. Think, build, dream, do, learn, and have some critical thinking. And I think critical thinking is going to be the most valuable skill you've always had, and it's going to be the thing that fuels the new economy.
A lot of people have allowed themselves to be paralyzed by fear, and Zig Ziglar says fear, false evidence appearing real. But your father said if you want to live a full life and create the next greatest version of yourself, you've got to be courageous. Talk to us about that.
Courage is everything. And what I think is so important is the courage to get off zero. I think the compound effect and the great big unicorns and the big success stories are the end chapter, but nobody starts at the end chapter. And what's courage to me is this commitment. And it is a dead fast commitment to myself. Every day if I'm breathing, there's a reason for it. And if I can start to move to that one step, one action, one belief, one conversation, one relationship, the ripples are infinite. Why waste a golden opportunity to change the world today? Get off zero. You're here for something. It's up to you to actually be bold enough to go after it.
You know, that is real. And I'm looking at people who have grown accustomed to settling. And I believe that what the things you learned from your father in terms of learning how to choose you, how to begin to be a risk taker, how important is that? Because so many people allow themselves to be laid back. They don't want to fail. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to disappoint themselves like anybody else. But being a risk taker, you are a risk taker. You've gone to countries, didn't know the language, never been there, but you say, I'm going to have this experience. So Helen Keller said life should be a daring adventure or it's boring. But you have lived an exciting life. Talk to us about the value of risk taking.
Nothing ventured is nothing gained. And to me, you get to choose to stand on some grenades, and other times they're lobbed at you. You don't always have complete visibility to the grenade at you. But I think one of the most important skills, you talk about trust and integrity, is to trust yourself. And trust yourself to think. Trust yourself to learn from the opportunities. For me, risk-taking is like breathing, because there are no guarantees. We're not God. But God put us on a path, and there's lessons to be learned. Imagine how great you could be if you just realized you were a work in progress. You can choose. One of the lessons my father taught me was every new chapter you start is a blank page. You can take the lessons that served you into the next chapter and leave the rest behind. But that blank page, is it a risk? Only if you see it as such. And I choose to write that blank page and to create the story and to have courage, because I want to get to the end of my life and know that I lived it. And I think when you say, mediocrity is catching. It spreads, and it's not the place I want to be. Uncrowded in pursuit of greatness. And the greatness is the courage to trust yourself, to bet on yourself, and to actually live the life.
It's one of the things I love about you and entrepreneurs and the people that you want to inspire and empower them is how to handle disappointment and defeats and failures. You were fired from a job and you were embarrassed, you were humiliated, you felt shameful, and you called your father. And you told me when you called your father, he gave you your first leadership lessons. Tell us about those three things you learned.
Yeah, there's times in your life, I said, where you stood on grenades, and I had this one lobbed at me. And I was a young 20-year-old with a life and an outcome that just brought me to my knees. And I phoned my parents, and I showed up at their house with a backpack. And my mom said, have a good cry, and my dad said, you need to learn your first lesson of leadership. First lesson of leadership is what has happened is what has happened. Face the facts. Where you go from here is what matters more. And you get to have to lead yourself from this place. You have to lead yourself from getting off of the floor and choose what kind of woman you want to be in the world of work, in the world of business, and in the world where you will respect yourself. First lesson was you can gather the facts, and it's a pretty crowded place. And I honestly think in business terms now, if you're a person who can gather the facts, AI will crunch your lunch. It's not the place to be. But to move beyond that, it's then how can I interpret the facts? Knowing that stewardship of the outcome is everything. That kind of leader will stand on grenades, choose themselves, and choose the greatest good of all. And in that case, it was, what lessons can I learn? How do I go from here? And what do I want this to say about who I am as a person? And I get to write that narrative.
Her name is Christine Campbell Rapin, and she has a passion, and she's known nationally and locally, helping people, business people, entrepreneurs, and anybody that's got a dream, they want to take it to the next level, teaching people how to navigate this new economy. So many people are failing, not because they don't have the ability to win, but they're trying to open up new doors of opportunity with an old mindset and outdated skill sets. And so her goal is to help people take their income, grow their customer base out into the stratosphere. Christine, you'll add somebody up in here, and your father is also. You have something special. Be true to yourself. You have greatness in you. You're a masterpiece because you're a piece of the master. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. Bye for now.